Hello, friends, and welcome to Women Who Do, a podcast celebrating brave women making bold moves. My mission is to inspire women during pivotal moments in their lives to embrace their courage and pursue their dreams fearlessly. Each episode, I sit down with an incredible woman who shares their empowering story of strength and reinvention, reminding us all that it's never too late to get up, get out there, and do what we love. I'm your host, Dawn Bordelon. I'm a woman who, like many of you, has faced and overcome significant challenges. And this has led me to become a passionate advocate for women's health, an enterprising entrepreneur, and now host of the Women Who Do podcast. And I feel driven to share the incredible stories of women who've navigated their own obstacles, reinvented themselves, and made bold moves to create positive change at any age. Well, just before we get into my discussion, my conversation with somebody I'm very excited to talk to, just a few housekeeping notes. I would highly recommend, first of all, if you're able to join us on Zoom, if you're watching this in the future, join us on Zoom if you're able. If it doesn't work out with your schedule, that's okay. The show video will replay and it'll be posted on YouTube, and audio will be on Spotify. And usually I'm able to get this, uploaded within the first 2 to 3 days after the show is complete. Also, I want to let you know that I would love it if you would follow this podcast on Instagram at Brave Women Bold Moves, all one word. And you can also follow my personal page at Chocolate Covered Fitness, all one word. If you know someone making big moves, email me or have them reach out to me somehow through my Instagram or anywhere, YouTube. But you can email me at getstrong dot with Dawn. Dawn is spelled Dawn. So it's getstrong dot with Dawn at gmail.com. So write to me. Tell me about a bold move that you have made, or tell me, share some tea about somebody someone else's story that's inspired you. I can share your letter. I would love to share your letter in a future episode of the Women Who Do podcast. All the links are in the chat below. Okay, we're getting close. I can feel my excitement rising here. Okay, I hope you're excited too. I'm going to talk about my guest. All right. So today I am thrilled to celebrate the remarkable Zakiya Young. She is a true force of talent and creativity. As an American actress who's made her mark across theater, television, and film, Zakiya embodies versatility and strength. After training at the prestigious Juilliard School, she transformed her passion for performance into an incredible career, captivating audiences with her powerful singing voice and compelling stage presence. This graceful performer has enchanted audiences on Broadway in The Little Mermaid and has made notable appearances in TV shows like Pretty Little Liars and Orange is the New Black. But what truly sets Zakiya apart is her unwavering commitment to advocating for diversity and representation in the arts. She passionately champions the importance of inclusion, motivating others to break barriers and share their unique stories. Today, we're going to dive into her latest project, Suburban Black Girl, a stunning one woman show where Zakiya inhabits 23 distinct characters, each bringing to life a rich tapestry of Zakiya's personal experiences. This performance is truly amazing. I saw it first, blending humor and depth as she navigates the complexities of identity and belonging. Zakiya will also bravely open up about her personal journey and the struggle she's faced with feminine health issues, topics that are often shrouded in silence. Her willingness to share her experiences, it really reminds us of the importance of being open about our challenges and really helping to lift each other up. Join me as we explore the journey of this incredible woman, her triumphs, her challenges, and the empowering message that she shares with aspiring artists everywhere. Zakiya reminds us that our voices matter and that we all have the power to create change through our arts. Get ready to be uplifted by Zakiya Young.
Hello.
Hello, Zakiya.
How are you?
Welcome. I'm
Thank you.
doing
Thank
great.
you.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here and to talk to you. We first met, in 2023.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, after I had seen your one woman show, we ran into each other. I recognized you. I said, I know that person. Had a mask on. Anyway, so it was like it's meant to be. I have to talk
Uh-huh.
to her more. So I'm so glad that you agreed to do the podcast today, and it's finally happening. Like I mentioned, I first saw you at the La Jolla Playhouse during the DNA New Work series in 2023, where you did a reading of your one woman show.
Hmm.
Now, just to explain to people who may not know, the La Jolla Playhouse hosts this thing called DNA New Work Series, and what they do is they invite playwrights and directors to come and kind of work out their scripts for new projects through live public readings. And so I was at one of these readings, and as someone who considers myself a suburban Black girl, the title of your show immediately it got my attention. I'm like, I am she. She is me.
Yes, yes,
I'm here.
yes.
So it was amazing. Just you a chair in 23 of your personalities. It was awesome. Yeah. So let's just
Thank
dive
you.
right
Thank you. And
in.
thank you for that introduction. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah. And before we dive in, I wish I had gone to the Juilliard school, but I actually didn't train at Juilliard.
Oh,
But that might be something manifesting in the future.
well, I've
Yeah.
just informed you that you may,
Maybe, listen,
yeah,
the universe has different ideas than we could ever,
yeah.
figure out. So I'm open to it, but I did want to just
Okay,
clarify that. I did have not had the honor to go to the Juilliard
okay.
School.
It's on the horizon. It's on
It
the
is.
horizon.
It is.
Okay, so let's talk about Suburban Black Girl.
Yeah.
Um, it was conceived during very pivotal time
Yeah.
when the Black Lives Matter movement it was front and center.
Mhm.
Can you tell us how that led to the play's creation?
Yeah, I remembered, like everyone, just being horrified by what I was seeing, but it wasn't new to me. I think I was stunned by how brazen it was and the fact that nobody had been held accountable. And then when I saw a lot of my close friends that I grew up with, that I went to college with, that I went to church with, and they were all saying, like, I didn't know that racism was still a problem. This isn't the America I know. I was like, are you really?
Hmm.
And, I just filmed this video because I was just so tired of seeing people I love completely be blind to what I go through on a regular basis. So that video went viral on Facebook, and I started doing more videos like that where I just started sharing what was on my heart and having these conversations because it's this idea that, well, if you're in the suburbs and we haven't heard of anything happening, then everything's fine,
Hmm.
and the key to success in the suburbs, if you are a non-white person, is assimilation. So, we're just trying to blend in. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time to stop blending in. And a former director that I had worked with, was the former artistic director of Ojai Playwrights Conference, hit me up and he said, I think these videos are a one-woman show. And I was very hesitant. I had imposter syndrome, and then January 6th happened. And I was like, oh, I have to write this show. And from then on, he helped me shape it. And then I applied for my first playwriting fellowship and got that. And that's what got the ball rolling.
What did you feel like? At first you mentioned imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
You know, I think people misunderstand sometimes that that can happen before you've done the thing,
Yes, yes,
not after
yes.
you've done the thing.
Yeah,
And it's the strangest thing, isn't it?
yeah. It's like, what do you mean? Like, instantly, you start doubting yourself because, I don't have a BFA, I don't have an MFA. I have a BA in communications.
Mm,
So just the thought of entering this sacred space as a playwright was very daunting. But then I had to sit back and check myself and realize, no, your voice has power and people want to hear what you're saying. So just do it. You literally have one of the best people in the country that has said, hey, I'm going to help you structure this show. I'm going to teach you about playwriting in these couple of months. So, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So, it's like, okay, and I'm gonna kind of guide you through this process.
Hmm.
And you moved forward. You went ahead and did it. And
Hmm.
we're really glad that you did. I wanted to kind of talk about something that I saw on the website for the play, suburbanblackgirlplay.com.
Hmm.
Just kind of looking at that log line, it's, just a summary of the play's core concept. And it says, this is what you have there. It's regarding you within the context of the play, right?
Hmm.
Zakiya Young is a master of code switching and the art of being non-threatening,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
So I resonated with that so much. And I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
uh, in the context of finding your voice and speaking out about the things that you were seeing, what you were feeling, and then going in and producing a play out of it. How did that affect you? Did you find that by that point code switching was a thing of the past, or do you had how did you feel like, did you feel like you were ready in terms of your voice?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think I was in process.
Mhm,
And I still, I feel like when you've been code switching from birth, basically, I don't know if I can turn it off.
mhm,
But what I am feeling myself do now is I am trying to be more authentic even within the code switch of it. Because I mean, look, we still have jobs. I still
mhm,
have to talk to the board of directors, the trustees of different organizations. I still have to talk to artistic directors. And I feel like because in the show you get to hear my authentic voice plus my amplified code switching voice,
mhm,
I feel like now I'm in like just my normal voice with a hint of the code switch because
mhm,
I can definitely tell when I go back home to visit my parents, I do slip back into it. It's just
mhm.
a habit. But
Yeah.
I think it's more for because it's a habit and less because I feel like I have to fit in. You
Hmm.
know, when I was younger, I purposely made sure that I sounded like my friends, even with my voice being high pitched, like this is something that practiced for like 46 years,
Hmm.
So it's not going to go away immediately, but I think the intention behind it has changed.
Yeah.
I'm owning it as, okay, this is what my voice sounds like, and I'm not going to soften it. I might
Hmm.
add a smile,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I'm going to say what I need to say. But, code switching is one of those things. I mean, they pointed that out with Vice President Kamala Harris.
Mm.
People who don't understand that code switching is essential for progress in the corporate space in your
Yeah.
communities. And they were trying to say that she was putting on an act. And it's like, no, y'all don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about some another name for it. It's similar, chameleon syndrome,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Changing, and just to be clear about what we're talking about as far as code switching, it's kind of modifying your speech, your behavior to kind of
Mm.
help you blend in.
Yep.
Is it a skill set? Is it a tool?
I think it is now.
Yeah,
When I was a child,
combination.
yeah, like I think first it starts as survival, but
Yeah.
now I know I can go into any room and talk to
Hmm.
anybody and disarm them and meet them where they are
Hmm.
instead of, feeling like we're not communicating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
I'm gonna say it's a special skill set.
I'm gonna agree with you there. It can be used, right, again, for progress. Um, Unfortunately, it can also, I know some women find that they rely on that in manners that they don't really realize. Changing your behaviors to blend in, thinking about talented, I'm thinking of people that I know, talented and ambitious women,
Mhm.
getting stuck in roles,
Yeah.
right, of middle management, getting passed over for promotions,
Yeah.
things like that, because they're like, I'm everyone's friend.
Mhm.
I'm not threatening, right? But that doesn't always serve us as women. So it's like finding that balance. And I think it's so much harder
Right.
for women of color.
Finding that balance,
Right.
of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because on one hand, sometimes they like that we can be direct
Mm-hmm.
and get things done, but also sometimes we can get the feedback of, oh, it's unprofessional.
Mm.
Oh, she's so aggressive.
Right.
When it's like, no, I'm just saying what it is without a smile.
Right. Oh yeah. The
You know,
smile.
I,
Yeah,
I
the code
realize
switch
how much
smile.
I do it. The code switch
Mm-hmm.
smile, like, now
Mm-hmm.
listen, I'm going
Yeah.
to say something you might not like it. I'm
Right.
going to say it with a smile. So it
Yes.
makes it sound easier.
Right. So we don't get that, angry black woman, thing. So
Exactly. Hmm.
do you find, so I kind of, as far as having a negative effect, did you ever see that that had a negative effect for you? Did you ever find that it was like, oh,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I'm being
Oh,
a
yeah.
little too nice?
Yes, I have definitely found that even during the process of doing this show, the
Mm,
more I heal myself, the stronger my boundaries are. And I realized that there were some people in my life that would speak to me any type of way. And it's
yeah.
like now I'm hearing it and now I'm
Mm-hmm.
checking them on it. Whereas before, I probably would have just laughed it off.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, who do you think you're talking to? I need you to take the
Right.
bass out of that voice. Okay.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
also being among Black people,
Mm-hmm.
our people can be tough when we sound different, so I grew up hearing that I sound white, and, that was a tough thing too. So finding what my comfort level is, finding my true language, and realizing, girl, you can do both. You can
Mm-hmm.
do both, and nobody can tell you what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be authentic to you. Like, I remember when Beyonce did Dreamgirls, and people were saying, "Oh, she should have had a dialect coach. Her accent is so strong." And it's like Beyonce is being authentic. She's being who
Mm-hmm.
she is, and
Yes.
she's not hurting. Okay, she's doing quite fine. So
Yeah.
she doesn't need that dialect coach.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I totally, that really, that I appreciate you sharing that. Reminded me of so many things, in terms of how, in high school, myself dealing with my friends, I went to kind of a predominantly white high school.
Mhm.
Um, and, I did get the, well, you're so articulate. You're so,
Yes.
you're so mature and articulate. You don't sound black,
Uh-huh. You're so well
you know?
spoken. So well
And
spoken.
as a young girl, really, you think, okay, that's positive feedback.
Right.
I'm doing it.
Right.
I'm doing something right. But then as you grow a little older and you realize, well, that's not really what I want to say to you right now. That's not
Yes.
really how I want to say it to you right now. And
Yes.
gradually, hopefully,
Yes.
we start to learn how to sort of bring ourselves back,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
into our interactions with people. And I have to say for myself, it has taken some time,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I can have a tone if I want.
Right. I can have, I feel like our ancestors have been waiting for us to realize we have the right to have a tone
Hmm. Yes, that is the tone you
because
heard.
the
Hmm.
tone is communicative. The tone can get stuff done,
Yes.
but that we have a right to it and that we
Hmm.
define who we are and how we sound.
Yeah. Yeah. The tone reduces the number of words you need to use sometimes, right? It's
Say
just
it. Uh-huh.
you heard how I said it. So that's all. That's all.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, I think that this is just really important, for people to hear. I feel like so many people are going to really, that's going to resonate with a lot of people. Um, Now, I do want to kind of make a bit of a shift, in our conversation now, because I want to make sure we have some time to talk about some other challenges that you have faced. As you navigated your career, you faced some challenges, particularly feminine health challenges. I know we had talked about you discovering you had endometriosis. Um, can you talk about how that was discovered?
Yeah, I've always had very heavy menstrual cycles. And, in our family, we were just told, well, that's how it is for us. So, of course, like most other women, I got on the pill to manage my period. And then I just wanted to get off of it. I didn't like how it was making me feel. And once I got off it, oh my gosh, the pain came back so
Mhm.
strongly. I had one procedure in New York where they said I had uterine polyps. So they went in and removed them. And then I moved to LA, I think about 2 years later, and I started getting sick again. And it was getting to the point where I was getting sick on a regular basis when I wasn't on my cycle.
Mhm.
So went to the doctor. She did an ultrasound. She saw a fibroid. So she was like, "Oh, it's the fibroid. We'll schedule surgery. We'll remove it." I said, "Great." So my parents came out for the surgery, and I woke up from the anesthesia, and we went home. And the next morning, she called and she said, "So you have one of the worst cases of endometriosis I've ever seen." She couldn't even get to the fibroid because my pelvic organs had fused together with the adhesions from the endometriosis. So endometriosis, it's like a scar tissue that grows outside of where
Mhm.
it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And so there's a thing that happens sometimes called frozen pelvis syndrome. And that's basically what I had. So she said that my stomach was connected to the fibroid and my bowels were
Mm.
connected to all of it, including my uterus. She had to cut away some stuff to even find my uterus. And
Wow.
she said she couldn't even see my fallopian tubes, and that I had countless ovarian cysts. Just, she said it looked like bubbles. So that's how I got my diagnosis. And she said, there's no way you could carry a child. I'm sorry. Because she had told me that because I was thinking, I'm over 40. Like, maybe that ship has sailed. And before the surgery, she was like, no, you
Mhm.
live in LA. Like, women have babies until they're
Right.
like 48. You're fine.
Yeah.
So, when she did tell me that, it was devastating and
Mhm.
heartbreaking. And she recommended a complete hysterectomy. Um, and she also saw because my bowels were involved, she wanted to get a bowel specialist in there as well. And when they did, uh, they gave me a few months to decide what I wanted to do. Because
Mhm.
then I had to decide, do I want the complete hysterectomy, first of all?
Right.
Second of all, do I just want a partial hysterectomy? Do I want to keep some ovaries? And if so, or if not, do I want to harvest some of my eggs?
Mhm.
So it was like just this whole big thing. And I decided, I was like, you know what? I was 44 at the time, and I said, if it's not working, just take it all out. I
Mhm.
do not need to hang on to my menstrual cycle. It has made me sick for most of my life. I don't need it. Get rid of it. And then I thought, if these eggs have been under this kind of trauma,
Mhm.
I can't see myself having any viable eggs. And it's an expensive procedure. And I've had so many friends have to go through several rounds of it, and
Mhm.
some were not successful. And I was like, what? The devastation of being deemed infertile was enough. I don't
Mhm.
think I could handle it if that doesn't work. And also I'm not in a
Right.
serious relationship. So it was like I feel like it just wasn't in the cards for me and I have grieved it. But I think that's why I'm diving headfirst into using my authentic voice because, studies show that stress can cause these diseases to manifest in your body. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially with fibroids and especially
Mm-hmm.
with Black women being
Mm-hmm.
so likely to have fibroids, ovarian cysts, endometriosis,
Right.
lupus, the whole nine. And, reading articles that say it might be from pushing so much down, not
Interesting.
using your voice.
Yeah. That is such a mind-blowing thought. We know that stifled emotions, right? They're not good for us. But oh, what does that come out in? Maybe you don't sleep very well, maybe you get some acne.
Right,
Um,
right.
but for it to affect your reproductive organs, um, is enough to really give you some pause there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, so you see there could be a link between sort of this, keeping your mouth closed, kind of biting your tongue, pleasing people. Um, there may be a link between that and
yeah,
your
yeah.
endometriosis. Um,
And I'm hoping they'll do more research because, women's health issues are severely underfunded. Like
yes.
I'm gluten free now. I gave up coffee because there's no cure for it.
Okay.
And the endometriosis had already spread throughout my body. So I still have it. There's no cure for it.
I
It's
was
just
gonna
that they
ask.
removed the
Yeah.
largest, yeah, they removed the largest pain source. And
Mm-hmm.
because it had spread to my bowels, they had to do a bowel resection and all that. So when I woke up from the surgery, I was like, okay, so I'm going to be pescatarian. I'm going to cut back on all the
Right.
bad stuff. And with the research they have done, they are finding a link between inflammation and the disease and trauma and inflammation. So when you're in a state of trauma, your body
Mm-hmm.
is inflamed, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you're constantly suppressing your feelings and your voice, and if you don't feel safe to be yourself, then of course that's going to show up in your body. And, as
Yeah.
a professional rule follower who did all the
Mm-hmm.
things I was supposed to do
Mm-hmm.
to have this happen, I spent so many nights screaming out to God, like, how? I did all the right things,
Yeah.
and I think the one thing that I didn't do on a regular basis was be true to my voice and allow myself to have feelings.
Mm-hmm. And
I
to
was so
it,
worried about everybody else.
yeah, vocalizing those feelings. Yeah, I know. I feel like I can really relate to that myself. In fact, I have just had a surgery myself recently in April to remove a fibroid.
Ah,
And the thing had been with me for a while and not causing any trouble. But all of a sudden, something made her angry. And
uh-huh.
it was like everything went haywire for about
Yeah,
2 years.
yeah.
And so, that whole process of wondering, okay, what was it that why did it all of us, first of all, what caused it to be there in the first place? And then secondly, what was going on in my life that caused her to become so angry with me? And that's really what it felt like.
Yeah.
It really felt like my body was turning against me and sending me all of this the bratty signals, the
Mhm.
attitude,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
one thing after another. And so interestingly enough, after I had it removed, which was only, not very long ago, about a month ago, I noticed it was almost like there was a quieting in my brain. I don't know what that was about. But maybe that was all the bad vibes, that just got removed. It's a nice thought. I don't know what the science is behind that, but I certainly do know that there has been sort of a period for me within the last few years where I find myself being very, very vocal.
Yes.
And it's almost like it's a little bit overkill until you kind of like figure
Yeah.
out
Yeah. It's like
just
the faucet all of a sudden goes on full force, and
yes,
then you're like, "This is great, but let me ease back a little
yeah,
bit."
let me ease off. Let me ease off. I can't hurt them all.
Uh,
But you learn, right? And so I feel like in that sort of this 2 year process of that, kind of finding my voice, learning how to point out what I'm seeing, um, and protest whatever it is, whether it's in a personal relationship or business wise, that's probably doing me a whole lot of good. That's doing me a whole lot of good. Um,
Absolutely.
so I think that's a lesson for so many of us
Yeah.
women, don't you think?
Yeah. I do because I think that studies show that trauma is passed down through the
Mm,
DNA, right? So as we are healing, I feel like we're the first generation that has truly been able to be free and to go to therapy and to think about things like boundaries.
hmm.
Whereas before, people were just trying to stay alive. So I don't fault
Yeah,
my ancestors for biting their tongues. I don't fight
right.
them. I don't fault them for teaching me to be a people pleaser, to assimilate, because their very lives were at risk.
Hmm.
So as I'm finding my voice, I have to remind myself to have grace for my parents who are sometimes like, you just say so much publicly, and I have to remember, like, well, they came of age during the civil rights era in the Deep South. They're
Mm-hmm.
just trying to keep me safe. But now, as an adult, I can show them, like, hey, it's safe to use your voice. Not
Hmm.
everybody's going to like it, but I don't have to center anybody else. I don't
Hmm.
have to center whiteness. I don't
Yes.
have to center anybody but myself. If I
Hmm.
have something that I need to share, if there's something I feel strongly about,
Hmm.
I deserve to speak my piece. I mean, my surgery was 16 hours long.
Whew.
And I
Wow.
think that was the switch for me. I woke up after that surgery, I was like, I'm not biting my tongue ever again.
Right.
Okay? If I can get through that surgery without any
Yeah.
complications, then I'm supposed to
Hmm.
be here. I'm supposed to use my voice, and I'm going to keep doing it because
Yeah.
I found that when I slip back into people pleasing and biting my tongue,
Mm.
my diaphragmatic endometriosis will flare up.
Really
Feel it in my
interesting.
diaphragm because the pains I used to feel in my pelvis now are
Uh-huh.
up in my diaphragm. So that manifests
Oh.
either like below the rib cage or in the shoulder blades.
Hmm.
And now that I'm actually letting myself tap into what my actual experience is instead of being worried about everybody else, I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I've been having these pains my whole life and I've
Hmm.
ignored them.
Hmm.
So it's very
Yeah.
grace for my ancestors. And I do feel like as we heal this, then our kids will learn how to not push down their feelings, but how to communicate
Hmm.
them in a way that they feel heard and that
Hmm.
they can, solve problems. And, I don't have kids, but I have nieces. So I love that they can see me speaking out and
Yes.
not being villainized for it.
Yes. So important. So important for the young ones to see us, you know,
Mhm.
and see us being strong out in public, not just behind closed doors. And then suddenly, they can see us. They notice us when we fall back into that masking or they observe it, and then they take on these habits for themselves, right? For their own
Right.
survival, right?
Right. Either they
Uh,
do that or they judge it. And it's like,
mm-hmm,
oh, we have to remember we are one generation removed from Jim Crow. Like, we can't, there's always this tendency to judge the previous generations, but it's
mm-hmm,
like, yo, our parents had to deal with men being recruited for Vietnam and they couldn't get
mm-hmm,
out of it. You couldn't even go eat where you wanted to. And then before that, you had sharecroppers. And then before that, you had slavery. So, yes, there were some toxic things that we were taught, but it was literally for our survival, and we wouldn't
mm-hmm.
be here if they wouldn't have done those things.
Right, right, absolutely. Well, I want to bring it back to how this affected perhaps your career, your
Hmm.
projects that you have going on. You know,
Yeah.
understandably, life goes on hold a little bit when you've got these things going on inside of you. I know for myself, I practically, yeah, I don't know where I was the last, few months, almost just the anticipation of having this surgery, which was my first, and not knowing what life is going to look like after the surgery. It's like, am I going to be the same person? Am I going to wake up? All the noise. Um, how do you how do you work? How do you continue to be on stage? And I know you're a teacher as well, and singing and these things which really require a lot of presence. How did you manage both?
Well, I think it's that North Carolina and Louisiana ancestry. It's
Hmm.
like I would think to myself, I would be passed out on the bathroom floor. I used to get sick at least 4 times before I would leave the house.
Wow.
And I couldn't leave the house until I knew I was done getting sick because LA traffic, I don't want to be throwing up in my car. And I would have something on the calendar and I would be like, all right, look, my ancestors didn't get any sick days. They were out in the fields dealing with this, especially if it is hereditary. So,
Mm-hmm.
Z, pull it together. I was
Yeah.
filming and I would have days where I would go from my hotel, where I was getting sick, to Pretty Little Liars, and I would whisper to one of the PAs, "Hey, can you bring me a lot of aspirin and a heating pad?" And they would do
Mhm.
it, and they kept my, because I didn't want to be a disruption to the schedule. And this was
Right.
my first big TV show, like, Pretty Little
Hmm.
Liars, the spinoff. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So I wasn't going to be calling out. Are you kidding me? But there was one
Right.
day during season 2 where I was in so much pain that the
Hmm.
actress Zaria, who played my daughter, she's a tiny little thing, and she
Hmm.
hugged me and she knew I was in pain and she hugged me so gently, but it
Hmm.
felt like thousands of knives.
Oh.
But I kept, I mean, it's probably not healthy that I did, to be honest, but I just kept pushing through.
Hmm.
I was like, look, you have come way too far
Hmm.
to call out. So, I took probably way too much ibuprofen, lots of heating pads. We live in California. Cannabis has helped a lot, indica specifically, because there were days where I would be curled up in my bed and I couldn't even get out of bed.
Hmm.
So I would take a little bit of medical marijuana and that would get me going, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and now when I feel myself, oh, and when you saw the DNA reading, that was the first time I had performed after my surgery. And
Oh.
oh my God, yes. It was like night and day because when I did it at Ojai Playwrights Conference, I had my cycle. It showed
Oh.
up the day that I was presenting.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, all right, well, and I pushed through, but it felt amazing. Like you were saying,
Hmm.
like after your surgery, like it felt like a
Yeah.
quiet brain. It felt like
Yeah.
a quieting of my body so I could
Yeah.
actually do what I needed to do.
I felt something special in the Running Man when you did the Running Man and the Reebok. I said, she's really feeling that must have been it. That was
I
it.
was like, I can move.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I can move
Yes.
now.
Yes.
It's nice to not have to worry about it because
Yeah.
usually, when I get stressed or nervous,
Hmm.
that would bring on my cycle early on.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
especially doing this, being the writer and the actress, and I'm a professor at USC, the schedule is crazy. I'm running on fumes. And today, my body was like, girl, lay down.
Hmm.
So I had to actually listen to my body and spend the morning just horizontal.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm kind of making a deal with my body. Okay, we're gonna go hard, and then When we can rest, we're going to absolutely rest. We're going to
Absolutely.
turn
Right.
off the phone. We aren't doing anything.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that's kind of how I've been managing it. And I was never somebody who was a cannabis person. I was very against it. I was like, oh, medical, sure.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
then when the Advil stopped working and
Mm.
I was like, I'm taking up to 16 to 20 Advil a day.
What?
This can't be good for my liver.
No.
I
No.
was like, I have to try something else. So I am grateful
Okay.
for it. And
Hmm.
I hope it will be legalized across the country because it's really helped me a lot. And I
Hmm.
know there are women in pain and they are
Yes.
suffering and
Yeah.
just trying to make it through the day.
Absolutely. I know there are so many people, even in my life, who rely on it.
Mhm.
It helps. It helps in so many
Yeah,
ways.
yeah.
I was thinking about something we had talked about earlier, not letting your illness um, become the thing. You jump off of the thing which you are meant to do, and now you say, "Well, I am ill," and now I'm
I
this is
know.
who I am. You're
Yeah.
not doing that, and I think that is so
I will.
important for people to see that in action. Okay, not that it was easy. You're describing it was not easy. It's not. It is not. It continues to not be easy.
To not be.
Um,
But
but that drive.
yeah, it's like I feel like I lost so much in that surgery, but I gained my life back, you
Mm,
know. So it would be a disservice to myself if I let myself just wallow. Now, of
mhm,
course, there's a difference between wallowing and resting.
mm.
You know,
Good point.
sometimes you just have to go lay down.
Hmm.
But I'm I had to let myself grieve for a good 6 to 7 months, and I don't think it'll ever go away. It's going to be like a scab that I pick, it'll bleed and then it'll, heal. Um, but I owe it to myself. I owe it to my parents. And again, I owe it to myself to not
Hmm.
let it define me, to do everything I can physically. I'm
Hmm.
not saying to push through pain that makes you like we all have different pain thresholds and I know what mine
Right.
is. But I was just like, I can't let this keep me from what I feel like I was put on this earth to do, but
Yeah.
I have to live with it. I have to
Right.
be I have to be real, like okay,
Hmm.
I can't pull all-nighters anymore. If I have a late shoot day, I know that the
Hmm.
next day I'm going to need to be in bed until noon.
Yes. Uh-huh.
No.
Right.
So it's stuff like that, but it's really manageable. Really manageable.
Well, I'm so glad that you are on the other side of that surgery. Who were your biggest supporters during those times of
Mm.
your health struggles?
My
Uh,
family, my
yes.
family definitely. They all came out for my second surgery, including my sister. My
Uh,
parents stayed with me for 2 weeks. My cousin Jennifer came down from Oakland because I couldn't shower by myself. I couldn't bend over. So
hmm.
she took care of me. And then my homeboy Sean, he stayed with me. And then my one complication was that my immune system was so low from being under for so long. I was exposed to chickenpox by somebody who was shedding the disease. So I had to go, I never had it as a child.
Oh,
And the
no.
vaccine came out when I was like 16. And I'll never forget,
Oh,
my pediatrician was like, you don't need it. So I never got it, never had the
okay.
chickenpox. So I ended up back in the hospital. And
Man.
I know. I was like, I got all the way to my 40s, but if Sean hadn't been here to drive me,
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
friend Sean, my friend Clinton, Ebony, Ashley, Andre, they all rallied around me. My friend Carly, who acted with me on Pretty Little Liars, she drove my parents to and from the hospital. My friend Michelle drove down from Burbank to drive
Wow.
us, like I just it taught me that I really do have a village here And some
Hmm.
of my friends from dance class were checking in on me.
Yeah,
So I didn't feel alone, which was amazing. It really meant a
that
lot.
is such a
We need
blessing and
this. We need the village.
yeah, we do. And I think a lot of people have a hard time allowing a village uh, to, right,
Yes.
populating a village around yourself. I'm learning that later in
Good,
life.
good.
But it is so important to have people in your corner. You can know a lot of people. I know I've been in this town since I was 9. I
Hmm.
probably know hundreds, maybe thousands of people in San Diego.
Hmm.
It's kind of a small town kind of vibe. You know people.
Hmm.
But to have people who will rally around you in your time of need, and I want to bring this back to you and having, you know, realizing where you come from with the masking and the playing small and the keeping your mouth closed and assimilating somehow, right? People have surrounded you, right, and accepted you without needing all of that stuff, right? They can see
Yes.
you in your greatest time of need when you can't even bathe yourself, right? What does that say about you, Zakiya, right?
I
And this
am
amazing work
very
you've done.
blessed.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so fortunate that I'm able to alchemize one of my greatest heartaches.
Mm.
Because I had started on the journey before my surgery, but I feel like the surgery just kind of boosted me and I was able to really just take the mask off. I feel like the surgery had me take the mask off to my closest friends
Okay.
and let them see me ugly cry. Let them see me
Hmm.
where I literally can't shower or like they had me on after my first surgery, they put me on Oxycontin and it constipates you.
Hmm.
So to have to call your friend and be like, "Can you bring me some prunes and toilet tissue?"
Yeah.
Because it is not okay in here. And for my big surgery, I literally told my surgeons, I was like, do not put me on Oxy. I
Mm.
would rather just have anything else but that because
Yeah.
that never want to go through that again. But it does humble you, and
Hmm.
it it showed me that yes, they will love me even in
Hmm.
all of my stuff.
Yeah.
And it also showed me that you can't make endometriosis pretty. You have to just be raw with it
Yeah. It's raw
and
with
real
you.
with it. It's an ugly
Yeah.
disease with no
Yeah.
raw with me, and there's no cure. And it's like the fact that it's still in my body, and I'm probably gonna have to have at least 1 to 2 more surgeries throughout my lifetime.
Okay. I was
It's
gonna
like,
ask. Yeah.
yeah, because it's definitely spread.
Hmm.
And even though they removed the main pain source and the main estrogen source, I have to be so careful with what I eat. And I also have to be careful. I've started doing somatic exercises
Hmm.
because your body holds on to pain. So, and it manifests in, knee pain, back pain, the emotional pain then
Hmm.
goes to different parts of your body. And I always had knee pain because my hips were just really
Hmm.
locked. Started
Yeah.
doing these somatic exercises when I started writing the show because it was just bringing up so much stuff.
Yeah.
And it was one of those targeted Instagram
Yeah.
ads. I don't know if Siri was spying on me when I was talking to my
Hmm.
homegirls. And I
Yeah, she
started
was.
doing these exercises. She sure was,
Hmm.
but it was good this time.
Right.
I have been reading, there are so many more endometriosis Instagram accounts, and they were saying
Mm.
that by doing somatic exercises, it helps make your body feel safe so that you're not always in a constant state of inflammation. So
Mm.
I did find that when I started rehearsals for the production of Suburban Black Girl that I'm in now, my knee pain came back. So
Interesting.
I was like, so now I have a post-show ritual I have to do. I
Yeah.
have to do my somatic exercises when I get home. I have to sage myself. I have to like put on my calming energy music
Yeah.
and myself like, okay, you're safe. You're not back in those
Mm-hmm.
stories. You're good.
Mm-hmm. That is so interesting. So what would you say, to share with women, other women, um, who might be facing, health challenges, similar, feeling uncertain,
Hmm.
uh, not really knowing who they are apart from their disorder, illness, whatever they're battling. What would you say to them?
I would say I'm sorry and it sucks. And I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. And also, I hope that you will keep looking for the light each day. There were days where I looked for it and I didn't find it. So don't rush your healing. Don't try to put on a happy face to make everybody else feel better because the people who love you just want to take away your pain, but they can't. And you don't owe it to anybody else to make them feel better about the condition that you have. So take it day by day, but there is hope on the other side. It, I wish I could tell you when it'll happen. It took me a good, I'm gonna say about a year and a half, if I'm really honest. A year and a half to actually feel like, okay, I am learning how to live with this disease and I am building a life that suits me. And you can do that too, but don't rush it. But just know that it's possible. And when you're ready for it, the universe will meet you. But yeah, don't
Beautiful.
rush the healing, grieving. And also, it might be that you have to expand into a different way of doing things that you used to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
I used to love, I was a beer girl. Oh my gosh, a Guinness? Yes. And now it's like, okay, well, I can have like maybe one or two alcoholic beverages a month. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my body can't handle it anymore. Or I used to love taking hot yoga. Can't do it because when my surgeon asked what kind of exercise I do, she was like, "You're literally putting your body under intense trauma. Stop it immediately." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought I was getting a great workout." So I had to switch
Yeah.
the workouts I do. You know,
What do you
I
do now?
pole dancing, if you can
Oh,
believe it.
I was hoping you would bring that up.
Can I tell you the
Yeah.
way that, so there was a pole studio that was right around the corner from my house, and I had booked an acting job playing a former stripper on Diara from Detroit, episode 6. I played a former stripper, and they had a club scene, so we had to work with a choreographer, and I was like, my body kind of takes to this.
Yeah.
And this was I was still having my cycle because I got my cycle the day we were filming, and I was like, are you kidding me? So I remember being so angry about just the state of my body. I had already had my first surgery, so I knew I was going to have the
Mhm.
hysterectomy. I came back home and I said, okay, I think I want to take pole classes because I felt powerful. And I said, but it's got to be a black owned pole studio. I
Oh,
don't want to be, I don't want them to not know what to do with my curves. Like, I need to be around people that look like me. And
right.
so I Googled Black Pole Studios, literally in walking distance. I was like, okay, universe.
Yeah.
So it was called Aligned Pole Studios, owned by Natasha and Siobhan. And when I tell you, they ushered me back into my body
Oh, yeah.
because I was with them before my hysterectomy and they supported me and loved me and encouraged me. And they also checked on me throughout my recovery.
Hmm.
But then
Hmm.
after my surgery, I took a private lesson with Natasha to just figure out how my body even moves now that
Yeah.
there's all this vacancy.
Mm.
And I found that, okay, I'm actually getting a better workout, but I'm not traumatizing my body in the same
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
I feel And then Siobhan helped with more of the spiritual aspects of it because she taught a chair class. And there
Hmm.
was a move. Did you see the move that Ciara was doing on the chair where she was waving her legs?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, with her stomach on the chair. So
Hmm.
this was part of the choreography for a routine. And I went to put my stomach on it, and there was nothing there. There was no resistance. And I
Oh,
just burst into tears because
oh,
I was so used to having so much stuff there. And I'll
yeah.
never forget what Siobhan said to me. She said, "It's not empty.
Mm,
It's not empty. Now your womb has all your womb has much more space to create. So you can birth
mm.
new things through this. Like the way it
Wow.
was the perfect thing I needed to hear. It was just like
Wow.
that space was a godsend. So yeah, if you need to give up your go-to, there's
Hmm.
always something else the universe will bring you. So you're not losing. You're
Yeah,
just ex
that is such a great perspective. Absolutely. I was thinking about how dance movement in particular. I was a Zumba instructor back in the day,
Mm.
and I just really, I don't know how to describe it. When I realized that I was helping women to make a connection with their own bodies, it was like it was amazing. This is a safe place for you to actually move your hips, right?
Yes,
Learn
yes.
how that feels to be in your feminine space. It was just, and it was powerful for me. Once I realized, oh,
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of feeling myself, right?
Yep,
It is
yep.
important for us to have those experiences in front of a mirror, dare I say, in front of a mirror, to be able to see yourself moving in
Yes.
front of a mirror. I use this in weightlifting, when
Mhm.
I'm training my clients as well, with their permission. It's important for us to see ourselves doing these things.
Yes. Yes.
It is
To
so
to
important.
appreciate our amazing bodies. Like
Yeah.
I took my body for granted. I can admit that now, but to know that I was able to get through that surgery and then
Hmm.
get my strength back, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna take you for granted ever again. I'm not going
Yes,
to compare myself to other body types. My body is amazing,
it
just as
is.
it.
Absolutely. Okay, so what's next? What is next? What goals do you have? What projects are you working? I know your show is underway
Yes.
until, is it May 5th, May
It's
13th?
13, so this is the
Okay.
last weekend of shows. Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday at 7:30, and Sunday at 1 o'clock. And
Okay.
the next thing I'm going to do, and we also have finals at USC. So the next thing I'm going to do is rest.
Hmm.
But we are trying to get, I need Suburban Black Girl to get into as many cities as possible and as many
Correct.
cities as where I feel safe doing it, you know?
Yes.
But I feel like this show, it's the perfect time for it, especially with what's going on politically. I want for us to be seen. I want for us to
Hmm.
understand that we are not alone and that we are so much more powerful than we realize. So maybe stop the code switching, maybe stop the people pleasing
Hmm.
and stand up in your power. Like, I just feel like that's what I should be focusing on right now.
Yeah.
I do have a few other projects, like I'm working on a novel, I have a feature film I'm doing, and I have an idea for a new play that's going to be a
Mm.
two-person play, and I
Okay.
can't wait. I'm still figuring out the kernel of it, but I have like a general idea. And I'm still
Thoughts.
like auditioning,
Hmm.
we love a TV job. We love a TV booking. So
Hmm.
still doing that, still
Call me. Right.
sober. Yeah, seriously. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, I think I am going to build the Suburban Black Girl community because I do
Yeah.
have the copyright. I own the copyright.
Yes.
And I'm
There you go.
really, yeah, okay, because
Hmm.
But we really need to, I just feel like I'm supposed to build this community, and I would eventually like to produce work for us that just
Hmm.
speaks to a different Black experience. So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
keeping busy, but I will definitely be resting for a good minute.
Okay. Well deserved rest. Well deserved rest. Okay. So just to be, just so for people who are watching or tune in later, where can people see Suburban Black Girl? How can they follow you? How can they keep up with you, support you?
Yes, yes. Suburban Black Girl is playing at the Outside In Theater in Los Angeles in the Highland Park area. Again, Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday at 7:30. We actually have a talk back this Monday hosted by Tommy Hobson. He played the dad on That Girl Lele. He's done a bunch of TV shows. He was born and raised in LA. He's a suburban black boy, a product
Mhm.
of Jack and Jill and Yale School of Dramatic Arts.
Okay.
Um, and he's going to host a talk back for Black men because I was like, I want to know how suburban Black men are responding to my show. And
Hmm.
I want to give them a chance to ask questions or maybe even, challenge me on some things. I'm an open book. Um, and then the website is suburbanblackgirlplay.com. And I'm on Instagram at official Zakiya Young and also YouTube. YouTube is where I've been really living. While I've
Okay.
been doing the show, I've taken a break, but either official Suburban Black Girl or official Zakiya Young on YouTube. I will always be doing videos. I will always be talking about
Okay.
politics. So I'm grateful to do this podcast. Thank you for inviting me. This is such a wonderful podcast. I am here for it. Yes, yes,
Thank
yes, yes, yes,
you.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zakiya. I will say in the chat, I have linked your YouTube channel. I have also linked the suburbanblackgirlplay.com for those of you who want to get your tickets while they're getting still good. Talkbacks are everything. It is to be able to express what you, to have really, it feels like you're part of it. You're part of something that is growing,
Yeah.
so get to this show. And I just think that this is a wonderful uh I just think it's so wonderful how this all came together.
It's
And I'm
like
so happy that you were here.
thank you. I'm so glad you saw me and recognized me. Like the universe. I'm
Yes,
like, God, the ancestors, whoever, thank you.
yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again so much, Zakiya. We'll be in touch. We're too close here. You're just right up the road
Yes,
in
yes,
LA. I'm sure that we will see each other in the flesh at some point
absolutely.
again very soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Zakiya. That was, didn't you guys enjoy that? I just want to say again, if you haven't already, go see the show, Suburban Black Girl. It beautifully highlights the journey of somebody who's confronting identity and societal challenges. It's raw, it's real, inspiring, truly amazing work. And I want to thank you again, Zakiya, for being on the show with me. All right, so now we have arrived at our final segment of the Women Who Do podcast. This is a little thing I like to do. It's called Women Who Wow. Women Who Wow. It's a little kind of a mini contest where I give you a few clues about a notable woman who has done or is doing big things. And the first person to email me, don't answer in the chat, but the first person to email me the answer to who this is, the correct name, will get a mention in the next podcast episode. You'll be a little bit famous. And I will say I did receive an email with the correct answer to my last Women Who Wow segment. Shout out to Janae Clark, Janae Clark, for emailing me with the name Reshma Saujani, who is the founder of Girls Who Code. Now, here's this week's clue for women who wow. This woman is a Vietnamese American artist who started her career in art in her 40s after years in a corporate job. Her vibrant work, which often explores themes of identity and culture, has gained recognition in local galleries and community art festivals, showcasing her unique perspective and talent. Okay, and I'll give you another clue. She may or may not have maybe a little TED talk or something out there. So, anyway, so those are the clues you get. Let me know who you think is the woman who wows. Those are your clues. Who is she? You can email me your answer at getstrong.withdawn@gmail.com. Or you can just hit me up on Instagram. Now it's time for my shameless plug. I'm a woman's strength training coach here in San Diego, California. I'm accepting clients for actually for the next 6 weeks. I kind of do it in like 6 weeks blocks. If you'd like to work with me, reach out. Also, follow this podcast. Follow this podcast on Instagram at Brave Women Bold Moves. Also, you can follow me at Chocolate Covered Fitness on Instagram as well as on YouTube, and that's where you can also find the actual replay show is under Chocolate Covered Fitness on YouTube, and there's like a little tab for women who do podcast. All the links are in the chat. Well, we've come to the end, to the conclusion for now. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Women Who Do podcast. I will see you all on the next episode. Until then, find what moves you and don't stop there.